However, Zhou Zhou was different. He was the master of a divine kingdom, so he was naturally different from them. He had to do whatever that was required and could not be delayed. That's not true, Zhou Zhou corrected with a smile. I'm chatting with my two brothers. No matter how boring it is, it's not considered chatting. That's called discussing the future development of the supreme great cosmos. Ha ha ha. The God King Heaven Punishment and the Spring Autumn Dharma Lord were amused by Zhou Zhou's words. However, Zhou Zhou was right. The three of them were the reserve army of the Supreme Lords, and each controlled an important territory. The future of the Supreme Great Cosmos was destined to belong to them. Every word and action of their could indeed affect the future development of the Supreme Great Cosmos. Zhou Zhou smiled and said a few more words before getting up to leave. He left the shrine and went to Mu Gu's mansion first, waiting for Wu Xian to fly out of the original Scarlet Brood Mother. A moment later, a golden stream of light flew out of the Scarlet Brood Mother and landed on the ground. It was Wu Xian. Greetings, Your Majesty. Wu Xian said respectfully. You are a little later than usual. Zhou Zhou stated with a smile. Your Majesty, I had no choice. Wu Xian smiled and said, It's just that the three Scarlet Brood Mothers today produced too many nest monsters. This is the first time I've seen so many nest monsters today. I was delayed because I wanted to lead the Homeland Defense Army to kill them all. Zhou Zhou smiled and nodded. He naturally knew how terrifying the number of nest monsters in the three Scarlet Brood Mothers was. Therefore, he naturally had no intention of blaming Wu Xian. Wu Xian heaved a sigh of relief seeing that Zhou Zhou had no intention of blaming him. Then, he handed the 3 world rings filled with loots to Zhou Zhou respectfully. Zhou Zhou took it and looked over expectantly. One of the world rings was filled with a sea of loots, 6 times more than before. The second world rings contained a total of 1,500 Guy Unit, Supreme God Realm Soldier Recruitment Books, and 1,500 Guy Unit, Supreme Holy Mage God Recruitment Books. The other world rings contained 1,500 Guy Unit, Supreme God Realm Soldier Class Change Certificate, and 1,500 Guy Unit, Supreme Holy Mage God Class Change Certificate. When Zhou Zhou saw this, he suppressed the smile on his face. However, he was extremely excited. This was a total of 6,000 Guy Unit Recruitment Books and Class Change Certificate. If he used them all, he could directly add 6,000 new Guy Unit Legendary Tier Elementary Grade troops to his Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom. He only had 1,000 Guy Unit troops under his command. After this recruitment and class change, the total number of troops under him could directly increase by 6 times. Just thinking about it made Zhou Zhou feel refreshed. With this 7,000 Guy Unit army as the foundation, the number of God spirits born in the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom every day could increase by 6 times. Moreover, the number of increases would increase. Zhou Zhou had a premonition. Perhaps it wouldn't be long before the number of God spirits under him exceeded the number of all the God spirits in the Supreme Great Cosmos. After Zhou Zhou was overjoyed, he immediately handed the class change certificate to Wu Xian and asked him to find a reserve recruit to change his profession to Supreme God Realm Soldier and Supreme Holy Mage God. As for Zhou Zhou, he immediately left Mu Gu's blessed land and flew out of the Divine Kingdom world to the Gate of Summoning. He called over a Grade 1 Supreme God-level cosmic battleship, as usual. Then, he threw all 120 Guy Unit recruitment books into the Gate of Summoning. Then, he spent 100 Grade 1 Supreme God Divine Crystals to recruit them and arranged for them to be in this cosmic battleship. Then, Zhou Zhou spent another 100 Grade 1 Supreme God Divine Crystals to summon today's subject. This time, he summoned a total of more than 220 billion subjects. He summoned more than 50 billion subjects than usual, including 15 Grade 1 Supreme God Spirits. Then, he went to Jade Capital Immortal Mountain alone. After spending 1,000 low-tier deity-level elementary grade divine crystals, he summoned 100 heavenly soldiers, heavenly generals, and heavenly venerates of the capital units. At this moment, swoosh, 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 swoosh. A total of 3,712,381 nomological pillars of light soared into the sky from the direction of the Reincarnation Sacred Palace. Right on the heels of that, Another 50 completely different starry sky phenomena appeared in the sky, filled with stars. It was the cosmic phenomenon of a master god tier becoming a supreme god. Then, boom, 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 boom. A total of 15 light pillars of different colors shot into the starry sky. The great lunar sun quietly hid its light, and so did the stars in the sky. At this moment, it was as if the entire myriad worlds were restraining their light for the owner of the 15 pillars of will, making them the only protagonist. The experts of the myriad worlds who noticed this scene were also shocked again. This is 2F asterisk king ridiculous. Yesterday, there were 7 quasi-supreme will realm experts who had advanced to the supreme will realm. Today, there are actually 15 new supreme will realm experts born. When did supreme will realm experts be born so easily? I'm probably dreaming. This is really an absurd dream. Alright, I admit that I don't even dare to do this in my dreams. 15 newly advanced supreme will realm experts are too ridiculous. It's another supreme will realm expert nurtured by the common people's regal. There are already more than 20 supreme will realm experts under the common people's regal. It's equivalent to half the number of supreme will realm experts in the entire supreme great cosmos. What's the point of competing with these few supreme Lord Reserve armies? Just let the common people's regal inherit the position of the supreme will. Even though this person's words are a little arbitrary, I, the loyal supporter of the spring-autumn Dharma Lord, actually feel that it makes sense. There are a total of 25 supreme will realm experts under the common people's regal, right? To be precise, there should be 21. According to my exclusive information, among the 15 newly advanced supreme will realm experts, for belong to the regal great solar, the regal great lunar, the god king heaven punishment, and the spring-autumn Dharma Lord. Among these 15 newly advanced supreme will realm experts, only 11 belong to the common people's regal. Only, brother, how did you say that? Oh, it's Big Boss Black Dragon will. Big Boss, you're right. Even though that's the case, the common people's regal is indebted to the supreme will realm powerhouses nurtured by these for venerables for their advancement. Even if these newly advanced supreme will realm powerhouses return to the subordinates of the regal great solar, they won't be able to reject the common people's regal's request for help in the future. Otherwise, they won't be able to pass through their own will. There's nothing wrong with that. The further one goes on the path of will, the more they care about karma. From the moment these 4 newly advanced supreme will realm experts advanced in the blazing sun divine kingdom, they have already been labeled as the common people's regal. I'm at the quasi-supreme will realm. I also want to be labeled. Dream on. There's everything in a dream. The divine spirits and the supreme will realm experts were discussing the matter of these 15 newly advanced supreme will realm experts crazily. Especially those supreme will realm experts who were still chatting at the welcome banquet laughed out loud. I knew it. Let's wait here. The common people's regal will definitely not disappoint us. He will definitely nurture a new supreme will realm expert. Am I right? It's only meaningful to wait like this. There's no need to run back and forth today. Let's continue waiting. The banquet will start again tonight. TSK. Thanks to the common people's regal. After these few days, I'm almost tired of eating delicacies with transcendent willpower. I've really never had such an experience in the past. If you're tired of it, don't snatch it from me. Give me what you have. I still want to eat them, but you packed it all up. Go away, go away. There will definitely be new transcendent level delicacies coming up tonight. Why are you snatching mine? Do you think the common people's regal will nurture more new supreme will realm cultivators tomorrow? It's a little difficult, but I choose to believe in His Highness, the common people's regal. I choose to believe in him too. I'm not leaving tomorrow nor the day after tomorrow. I just want to see how many supreme will realm experts His Highness, the common people's regal, can nurture. I have the same plan. Count me in. Count me in. Ha ha ha, what a rare occasion. In that case, count me in. Zhou Zhou's figure slowly appeared in the sky above the blazing sun divine kingdom. Swoosh, swoosh. 2 figures appeared out of thin air. They were God King Heaven Punishment and the Spring-Autumn Dharma Lord, who had just been chatting in the shrine. The 2 of them had no intention of chatting to begin with. They were both waiting for their supreme will realm subordinates to be born. Now that they saw that they had successfully advanced, they naturally could not help but be anxious and ran out to personally watch. When they saw the 15 pillars of will that soared into the sky, the shock in their eyes was indescribable. Having heard of it was one thing, but seeing it with their own eyes was another. To be able to see 15 Supreme Will Realm experts being born together with their own eyes, not to mention in the Supreme Great Cosmos, even in the entire Ultimate Void Great Cosmos, they might not be able to see such a scene. They felt that they had learned something new, and when they saw two familiar pillars of willpower, the joy in their eyes was about to overflow. That was because they were their subordinates. Now, they was going to have a new Supreme Will Realm subordinate. At this moment, the figures of Regal Great Solar and Regal Great Lunar also appeared not far from them. After they arrived, they immediately looked at the two pillars of willpower in the 15 pillars of willpower. Those were the pillars of willpower emitted by the two supreme gods sent by them. Back when they first came, they were only grade 4 supreme gods. He was already a Supreme Will Realm expert. The two top existences of the Supreme Great Cosmos were a little dazed when they recalled their experiences in the past few days. This was really like a dream. What methods did this common people's Regal have? Why were there so many Supreme Will Realm experts in his hands? The two Regals clicked their tongues in wonder. Regal Great Solar, Regal Great Lunar, X2, the God King Heaven Punishment, and the Spring Autumn Dharma Lord said politely to the two Regals, "Your Majesties are here too." The Regal Great Solar chuckled and said, "Looks like the two of you have gained something too? Not bad. The two of us also had a Supreme God subordinate who advanced to the Supreme Will Realm under Third Brother's nurturing. Furthermore, I'm a lord. It's normal for me to have the thought of recruiting him when I see such an expert. Congratulations. Congratulations, Your Majesties." The two of them bowed to each other and waited for the 15 Supreme Will Realm experts to completely advance. Zhou Zhou was also looking up at their advancement. At this moment, an existence emitting a pure white light appeared beside Zhou Zhou. It was the Supreme Will. "Greetings, Lord Supreme Will." Zhou Zhou smiled. "Tell me, what Lord talent do you want to increase this time?" The Supreme Will asked with a smile. "And it's the Supreme Lord talent?" Zhou Zhou probed. "Why? You don't like the reward I gave you now that your Supreme Sacred Body is about to advance to the Supreme Will Realm?" The Supreme Will asked with a smile. "I wouldn't dare." Zhou Zhou shook his head helplessly. The Supreme Will watched him for a while before continuing. "How about this? If you can nurture 50 Supreme Will Realm experts, I'll raise any of your Lord talents to the Transcendent level, unique Lord talent. How about that?" "Okay, thank you, Lord Supreme Will." Zhou Zhou agreed without hesitation. This was the only Transcendent Lord talent. Who knew how long it would take if he relied on itself to raise the Supreme Sacred Body to the level of the Transcendent Supreme Sacred Body and use the Supreme Sacred Body to create the Transcendent One Lord talent. He already had the strength of a low-level or even a mid-level Transcendent level expert. His future opponents would probably be at this level. Therefore, he urgently needed the Transcendent Lord talent to increase his strength. Even though the Supreme Lord talent could also increase his strength, Zhou Zhou was no longer satisfied with such a small increase. "Then what Lord talent do you want to upgrade to the Supreme Lord talent today?" The Supreme Will asked. Zhou Zhou didn't hesitate and said, "I want you to raise your protection of the Supreme Will from the Supreme level to the Supreme level." The protection of the Supreme Will came from the special Lord talent rewarded by Zhou Zhou after he collected 10 Master God Tiers Lord talents. As soon as it appeared, it had the Supreme Unique Lord talent, and the effect was equally shocking. It could help the God spirits under Zhou Zhou become Supreme Gods more easily. And now, the main pillar-level experts of the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom and Zhou Zhou had already advanced from the Supreme God Realm to the Supreme Will Realm. Then this Supreme Protection of the Supreme Will did not meet his requirements. For this reason, upgrading it to the Supreme Lord talent was something he needed to do now. It just so happened that the Supreme Will was by his side now. Then, he would ask the Supreme Will to help him improve. What a good opponent. The Supreme Will agreed with Zhou Zhou's choice. He raised his right hand and tapped Zhou Zhou's glabella like before. In the next second, Zhou Zhou felt a familiar and warm force surge into his mind from between his brows before spreading throughout his divine body. A moment later, a line of text suddenly appeared in front of Zhou Zhou. "Your Supreme Unique Lord talent. The Lord of Peace has been promoted to the Supreme Lord talent. Protection of the Supreme Will. Your specific Lord talent effect is as follows. Protection of the Supreme Will, Supreme, Unique. Specific talent effect 1. Blessing of the Supreme Will. You and the subjects under you. Every life form has the basic comprehension of the Lord's law. When comprehending the law, it's easier to delve into the essence of the law and comprehend the Supreme Lord's law. It's also easier to comprehend the power of the will and walk the path of the Supreme Will realm. Specific Talent Effect 2. Supreme Will. Your and your subject's will talent has reached the paramount will realm. You can easily raise your will realm to the Supreme Will realm compared to other life forms. Specific Talent Effect 3. Premier Heart. When you and your subjects advance to the paramount God realm, the probability of advancement increases by 50%. When you advance to the Supreme Will realm, the probability of advancement increases by 10%. Zhou Zhou was very satisfied after reading it. Firstly, he had the will talent of the Supreme Will realm. There was naturally no need to say anything. Actually, that Premier Heart had the probability of advancing to the paramount God realm increased by 50%. Even the success rate of advancing to the paramount will realm increased by 10%. This was a 10% chance of success. This was already a terrifying probability. According to his understanding of the ultimate void great cosmos, countless supreme gods in the ultimate void great cosmos were willing to risk their lives to fight in the great cosmos in order to advance to the Supreme Will realm, even if it could only increase the probability by 1%. If an expert said that it could increase their chances of advancement by 10%, they would be willing to sell their lives to him. The Supreme Will realm could make experts so desperate. Zhou Zhou was filled with anticipation. The probability of him nurturing a Supreme Will realm expert was already very high. Now, it has increased the probability of success by 10%. Tomorrow, the newly advanced Supreme Will realm experts under him would probably double. At that time, the experts in the myriad worlds would probably make a fuss again. At the thought of this, Zhou Zhou could not help but laugh in his heart. At this moment, the Supreme Will's face revealed an expression of surprise and envy. The effect of your Supreme Lord talent is really extraordinary. Didn't the Supreme Will also cultivate the Supreme Sacred Body? If you want it, you can use the Supreme Sacred Body to cultivate it. Zhou Zhou said. The Supreme Sacred Body had the ability to create the Lord talent to begin with. It was normal for the Supreme Will to look surprised when facing his talent. What was with the envious expression? Don't you know how to do it too? Who said that I also cultivate the Supreme Sacred Body? The Supreme Will asked. You didn't cultivate the Supreme Sacred Body? Zhou Zhou was stunned for a long time before he reacted and said in shock. That's right. I didn't cultivate the Supreme Sacred Body to begin with. The Supreme Will looked at Zhou Zhou strangely. Before I obtained the Supreme Immortal Inheritance, I had already determined my will path. I couldn't change it even if I wanted to. I'm just using the Supreme Immortal Inheritance as a reference. I've only cultivated the parts that are suitable for me. I've never seen anything that involves the foundation of the will path. Why do you think that I'm cultivating the Supreme Sacred Body? I thought that since you gave me the inheritance of the Supreme Sacred Body, I thought that you had also cultivated the Supreme Sacred Body. Zhou Zhou said dryly. I didn't. The Supreme Will shook his head. My path is called water. I walk the path of water, benefiting all things without competing. I can bestow the Lord talent on him, but my Lord talent is only water. You're the opposite of me. The path you took from the beginning was to gather thousands of Lord talents and your own path. I saw that your path is very similar to the path of the Supreme Sacred Body, so I handed his fundamental inheritance, the Supreme Sacred Body, to you. Actually, other than wanting to find a successor for me to manage the Supreme Great Cosmos for me in the future, another very important reason is that I want to find a successor for the Supreme Immortal. That's why you're the Supreme Lord Reserve Army. Could the Supreme Undying be? Zhou Zhou probed. You're right. The Supreme will seem to have seen through Zhou Zhou's thoughts and said with a smile, that's an existence in the eternal, immortal realm. It's called the Supreme. I once studied under him for a period of time before he advanced to the eternal realm, but he was unwilling to take me in as his disciple. When he was about to advance, he handed over his Supreme Immortal Inheritance to me and allowed me to use it or pass it on to others. Then, he advanced to eternal immortality and left our world. With your aptitude, the other party is actually unwilling to take you in as a disciple. Zhou Zhou asked in surprise. He said that there's a high chance that I can become an existence on par with him in the future, so he didn't take me in as his disciple. I'm also extremely confident in my future path. Therefore, even though I have the inheritance of that eternal immortal realm in my hand, I'm only using it as a reference. I didn't directly replicate his path. The Supreme will said. Zhou Zhou was also very surprised. No wonder the Supreme will casually handed this supreme sacred body to him. It turned out that the other party's path was also a top-notch path that led straight to the eternal immortal realm. Common people's regal, cultivate well. Perhaps one day, you can enter the world of that eternal realm expert with me. The Supreme will laughed. Then, his body gradually disappeared. At this moment, after these newly advanced Master God tier, Supreme God, and the 15 newly advanced Supreme will realm experts saw the Supreme will leave, they finally flew over boldly. They surrounded him, according to their strength. Greetings, Your Majesty. The 15 newly advanced Supreme will realm experts bowed respectfully to Zhou Zhou in unison. Congratulations on advancing to the Supreme will realm. Zhou Zhou smiled and nodded. From now on, the 11 of you will be consecrated by this Emperor's blazing sun divine kingdom's Supreme will realm. In terms of specific treatment, you will be treated the same as the consecrated by the Supreme will realm that you advanced to previously. I won't treat you badly. Thank you, Your Majesty. The 7 Supreme will realm experts said respectfully. As for the remaining 4 new Supreme will realm experts sent over, Zhou Zhou nodded at the 11 newly advanced Supreme will realm experts on his side. Then, he looked at the other 4 Supreme will realm experts. Do you want to continue cultivating here with this Emperor, or return to your faction? The 4 Supreme will realm experts looked hesitant. Typically speaking, their mission here was to break through to the Supreme will realm. Now that the mission was completed, it was time for them to return and report. However, they could not bear to leave at this moment. This was naturally not the influence of Zhou Zhou's Supreme Lord Talent, the Holy King. Back when they joined, Zhou Zhou had controlled this Lord Talent to not affect them in this aspect. The reason why they were unwilling to leave was very simple. It was naturally because the environment of the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom was too good. It was so good that they could not bear to leave. They had a very strong premonition that as long as they continued to stay in the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom and work for this common people's regal, they would definitely be able to break through to a higher level. They might even have a chance to spy on the legendary willpower in the future. This was not exaggerated at all. All the new Supreme will realm experts present could sense this. However, they could not disobey the orders of the higher-ups. At this moment, the Regal Great Solar, Regal Great Lunar, God King Heaven Punishment, and the Spring Autumn Dharma Lord suddenly teleported in front of them with a solemn expression. I just got the news. The God King Heaven Punishment said solemnly. The illusionist clan suddenly sent a large number of experts to the Dusk battlefield. Among them, there are more than 100 Supreme Will Realm experts and more than 10 willpower experts. They seem to be launching an all-out attack on our Supreme Great Cosmos. Currently, all the Supreme Will Realm experts in our Supreme Great Cosmos who can participate in the battle have already rushed to the Dusk battlefield. The Crimson Overlord also rushed over from the Crimson Great Cosmos with 20 Supreme Will Realm experts to resist the invasion of the illusionary race. With that, the Crimson Overlord also rushed over from the Crimson Great Cosmos with 20 Supreme Will Realm experts to resist the invasion of the illusionary race. The 4 of you, I know that you have just advanced to the Supreme Will Realm and like the cultivation environment of the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom very much. However, we are currently at the most dangerous moment of the Supreme Great Cosmos. Are you willing to save us? I can give you a choice. Those who are willing can come. If you don't want to come, you can stay. We're willing. X4. The 4 newly advanced Supreme Will Realm experts did not hesitate and said in a low voice. God King Heaven Punishment's words directly disrupted all the unnecessary thoughts of the 4 new Supreme Will Realm experts. At this moment, they only had one firm thought left, and that was to fight for the Supreme Great Cosmos. Zhou Zhou was momentarily stunned, but he quickly came back to his senses and said, I want to go too. No, the God King Heaven Punishment refused directly. The Supreme Will has already ordered us not to let you participate in the invasion of the Illusionist clan. You can participate if you want, but you have to complete the test of the Eternal Continent first and become the second reserve army of the Supreme Lord. This way, you can come to the Twilight battlefield and participate in this war. Before that, you need to grow at your own pace. Zhou Zhou frowned. Now that the Twilight battlefield is so dangerous, the Supreme will actually insist that I complete the test on the Eternal Mainland first? Third brother, the God King Heaven Punishment, seemed to sense that Zhou Zhou was not very willing. He smiled and persuaded. Since the Supreme will said so, there must be a reason. The Supreme will definitely not make a mistake in this aspect. Also, don't think that we can't stop them just because the illusionist clan is aggressive and has many soldiers. Even though they have far exceeded us in terms of the number of experts in the Supreme Will realm and the Willpower realm, I can tell you very responsibly. These Supreme Will realm experts and Willpower experts are still within our ability to deal with. Don't forget, the overall strength of our Supreme Great Cosmos can be considered one of the top 5 Great Cosmoses even in the entire Ultimate Void Cosmos. In addition, the Crimson Overlord will also come to support. The situation is actually not as bad as you think. Open up the Eternal Continent first. It won't be too late to help us when the time comes. We can still deal with the situation on the Dusk battlefield, but once the Illusionist clan finds out that we're strong enough to deal with them, they might continue to send more Supreme Will realm experts and Willpower experts to attack us. At that time, we might really not be able to hold on. That's when I really need you. Even if you don't want to come over, we'll force you to. God King Heaven Punishment laughed loudly at the end. Hey, don't make it sound like my Eternal Continent is very easy to clear. Spring Autumn Dharma Lord said unhappily. Then, he looked at Zhou Zhou. Third brother, Big Brother is right. Let's not be in a hurry. Let Big Brother, Second brother, Regal Great Solar, and Regal Great Lunar hold the fort. You can come over when the 4 of us can't hold on. Your Highnesses are right. The Regal Great Lunar said gently. Your Highness, I estimate that this battle will only become more intense towards the end. Your Highness, you don't have to rush over. This battle will last for a long time and won't end in a short period of time. Sooner or later, Your Highness will go on stage. Okay, Zhou Zhou took a deep breath. Since so many people advised him not to go, there was no need for him to disobey them. Moreover, he had just entered the Supreme Will realm and had yet to completely control all the power of the Supreme Will realm. It would not be too late to plan to go to the Dusk battlefield after he controlled all the power of the Supreme Will realm. Seeing that Zhou Zhou had really listened to them, God King Heaven Punishment heaved a sigh of relief. They was really afraid that the third prince would be impulsive and ignore their advice to rush to the Dusk battlefield with his soldiers. Geniuses always like to be arbitrary. They were too familiar with the behavior of such prodigies. Fortunately, Zhou Zhou was not such a person. Even though he had some signs of wanting to go, he still listened to him in the end. At this moment, Zhou Zhou spoke again. Even though I can't go to the Twilight battlefield, I can fight with you in another way. Everyone was stunned. In what way? Then, they saw Zhou Zhou take out a world ring. They immediately hesitated thinking about this. Support. Third brother, it's good that you have this intention. Furthermore, I'm a lord. It's normal for me to have the thought of recruiting him when I see such an expert. In addition to some basic resources below the Supreme Will realm, there are also 100,000 healing and resurrection treasures at the Supreme Will realm. There are also 1,000 Will holy artifacts. It should be able to increase the strength of our Supreme Great Cosmos Supreme Will realm by about 7 to 8 times. God King Heaven Punishment, the Spring Autumn Dharma Lord, Regal Great Solar, and Regal Great Lunar were stunned. 100,000 Supreme Will realm healing and resurrection treasures. 1,000 Will holy artifacts. Not to mention the former, it greatly increased their ability to tolerate mistakes on the Twilight battlefield, allowing them to face the invasion of the illusionary race without fear. The latter's 1,000 Will holy artifacts could even allow every Supreme Will realm expert of them to have a set of Will holy artifacts. There was still a lot left. Each person had a set of Will holy artifacts. Wasn't this 2F** King exaggerated? Even the most powerful multiverse faction in the Ultimate Void Great Cosmos probably could not allow every Supreme Will realm expert to have a complete set of Will holy artifacts, right? The God King Heaven Punishment could not react for a moment. The Spring Autumn Dharma Lord also felt inferior. This was because he had discovered that even if he took out all the Will holy artifacts in his Spring Autumn treasury, it was still not enough to give the 50-odd Supreme Will realm powerhouses in the Supreme Great Cosmos a complete set of Will holy artifacts. Not to mention 1,000 Will holy artifacts. He had actually taken out the spring-autumn treasury previously to embarrass his younger brother? If not for the fact that he still had a few transcendent holy artifacts at the bottom, he would have been utterly embarrassed. Thinking back, he blushed. At this moment, before the other experts could react, Regal Great Solar had already grabbed Zhou Zhou's world rings. When his willpower entered and he really saw the sea of treasures, 100,000 supreme will realm treasures, and 1,000 will holy artifacts, his eyes immediately turned red, and his breathing quickened. Even though he had willpower transcending combat strength, he was still a supreme will realm expert. They had never seen such a scene before. The others reacted when they saw this. They hurriedly injected the power of their will into the world rings and displayed similar reactions to Regal Great Solar. Seeing that everyone was silent, Zhou Zhou probed. Is that enough? If it's not enough, I have more. Critical hit. A true critical hit. Enough, enough. God King Heaven Punishment nodded bitterly. Spring Autumn Dharma Lord, Regal Great Solar, and Regal Great Lunar nodded silently. They finally understood why the common people's Regal had the confidence to say that they would use resources to nurture experts with willpower to nurture supreme will realm experts. So what they said was true. Not only was the cultivation environment good, he really had resources. With this combination, no wonder supreme will realm experts could be born every day. Third brother, God King Heaven Punishment took a deep breath and said seriously, with your support, we can still hold on even if the illusionist clan sends twice as many supreme willpower experts and willpower experts. Don't worry and grow according to your own growth. We'll definitely be able to hold on. That's good. Zhou Zhou nodded and said, if you're still under pressure, tell me. I still have more will holy artifacts and supreme will realm treasures. If it doesn't work, I'll spend some treasures to recruit some experts from the ultimate void cosmos. We just have to ensure that they don't reveal the secret of the illusionist clan's invasion. If it really doesn't work, I still have a transcendent holy artifact. You guys should also have methods to transcend realms and use holy artifacts, right? For example, second brother, you can use a fishing rod that transcends the level of a holy artifact. With the transcendent holy artifact, I should be able to increase the power of the dusk battlefield. Zhou Zhou said, that won't be necessary. Spring Autumn Dharma Lord said dryly. Third brother, I can use the transcendent holy artifact only because my transcendent holy artifact is only a non-combat holy artifact like a fishing rod. If it's really a combat-type holy artifact, I won't be able to control it for long with the power of my will. Me too, God King Heaven Punishment added. Even though I can also use transcendent holy artifacts, I can't use them for a long time. I'm still used to using high-level will holy artifacts in ordinary battles. The Regal Great Solar and Regal Great Lunar hesitated. They had a way to use the transcendent holy artifact for a long time, but it was not good to say such things now. God King Heaven Punishment and the Spring Autumn Dharma Lord had both rejected it. After some thought, they stopped talking for the time being. In any case, the current situation was not so urgent that they needed to borrow a holy artifact. Furthermore, they had something that transcended holy artifacts, but there weren't many of them. It would not be too late to borrow a holy artifact when the time came. Fine. Zhou Zhou had originally wanted to lend they the transcendent holy artifact that he had no use for. However, since they had said so, he would not lend it to them for the time being. Well, even though everyone had the means to transcend realms and use holy artifacts, not every supreme will realm expert had a king who could provide a vast amount of willpower for he to use willpower skills that transcended holy artifacts indefinitely. Then, they chatted with Zhou Zhou for a while longer before leaving with the 4 newly advanced supreme will realm experts. As for Zhou Zhou, after they left, he received the new experts on his side. He first gave the remaining 11 newly advanced supreme will realm experts a set of will holy artifacts. Then, they were distributed to the other newly promoted supreme gods and master god tiers. They each had a set of supreme divine artifacts and master god tier divine artifacts that were compatible with their own paths. Then, they returned to their respective armies. Then, Zhou Zhou began to calculate the strength of his main combat army. His original military strength was 342 Guy units, 2,587 capital units, 3,476,324,839,800 891 soldiers, 61, 282, for 39,7607 god spirits, 74,351,819 true god tiers, 3,823,161 master gods, 857 supreme gods, 89 quasi-supreme, will realm experts, and 1 supreme, will realm expert, including the 6,000 new guy unit recruits, 100 capital units heavenly soldiers, 13,712,381 new master god tiers, 711 new supreme gods, and 11 supreme, will realm experts. The troops under him had already reached 582 guy units, 2,687 capital units, 3 quadrillion, 476 trillion, 324 billion, 730, 4,839,891 soldiers, 6,128,243 billion, 7,607 god spirits, 74,351,819 true god tiers, 6,378,780 master gods, 988 supreme gods, 89 quasi-supreme, will realm experts, and 3 supreme, will realm experts. Zhou Zhou nodded in satisfaction after reading it. This increase was mainly due to the increase in the number of ordinary troops and supreme, will realm experts. The normal military strength increased from more than 1,000 guy units to more than 7,000 guy units. It increased the total military strength by 6 times. The number of supreme, will realm experts also increased from 22 to 33. An increase of a full third, which meant, now, once he activated the king, he would instantly replicate the power of these 33 supreme, will realm experts into his body. Furthermore, he would directly increase it by 5,000 times. When the time comes, he could directly augment the strength of 165,000 supreme, will realm experts on the basis of his strength. What a terrifying number. One had to know that there were only more than 100 supreme, will realm experts in the Supreme Great Cosmos and the Scarlet Great Cosmos. If he were to go down as a king, it was unknown how many times he could crush the supreme, will realm experts of the 2 universes combined. Of course, this comparison excluded supreme willpower realm experts like God King Heaven Punishment, who had willpower combat strength. Even so, it was also quite terrifying. Zhou Zhou even wanted to challenge the Spring Autumn Dharma Lord and advance to the 2nd Reserve Army of the Supreme Lord. However, after some thought, he still hesitated. Somehow, he had a feeling that with his current strength, he had a chance of winning if he challenged the Spring Autumn Dharma Lord. But the chances of winning weren't high. He was very strong. However, the Spring Autumn Dharma Lord who controlled the myriad world's chaos pool was inferior to him. It wasn't inferior to him. It's better to let Zhou fight sharpen himself in the eternal continent before challenging the Spring Autumn Dharma Lord. Zhou Zhou exhaled and thought. He was not in a hurry. It was still the same thing. He just had to take it slow. Time was on his side. Every day, he would become stronger. Then, he returned to the Reincarnation Sacred Palace and began to feel the feedback from the High Continent. After he defeated Revered Flame, the Supreme Continent had completely become his territory. Or rather, it had become his training ground. It was just like how the initial ultimate void battlefield was for Lord of 10,000 Evils, the long river of time and space for Spring Autumn Dharma Lord, and the dusk battlefield for God King Heaven Punishment. Now, the Supreme Continent had also become the exclusive territory of Zhou Zhou, the 3rd Reserve Army of the Supreme Lord. The Supreme Will had once said that the exclusive territory of every Supreme Lord Reserve had unique benefits for the Supreme Lord Reserve Army. Today, he wanted to understand what benefits this high continent had for him. He dispersed the power of his will, wanting it to envelop the entire continent. However, he realized that he could not do it. He, who had just entered the Supreme Will realm, did not have much of a leap in the power of will. It was very difficult for him to wrap his willpower around the entire high continent. However, this was naturally not a problem for Zhou Zhou. He directly activated the king and augmented himself with the power of 165,000 supreme will realm wills. Zhou Zhou felt the pressure on his will immediately drain away. With just a thought, he enveloped the entire continent with his willpower. Then, he controlled the power of his will to gradually penetrate deeper. Soon, he reached the deepest part of the supreme continent, which was also the core. A pure white ball of light wrapped in endless laws and willpower stood quietly here for an unknown period of time in this place. Zhou Zhou took a deep breath and a vast amount of willpower entered it, beginning to recognize it as its master. What did it feel like to recognize a master as the core of the high continent? There was only one word in Zhou Zhou's mind: run. Perhaps it was because he was the third reserve of the Supreme Lord, or perhaps it was because he had already passed the test of the Supreme Will, or perhaps there were other reasons. After the core of the high continent started to recognize him as his master, it didn't take long for him to successfully recognize it as his master. After recognizing him as its master, a gentle power surged endlessly from the supreme continent and entered Zhou Zhou's origin core. It began to strengthen Zhou Zhou's willpower and level. Zhou Zhou had a premonition. With the help of this power, even if he no longer cultivated the power of his will in the future, the power of his will could slowly increase. It could even be raised to the peak stage supreme will realm before he could no longer continue to increase. Zhou Zhou clicked his tongue in wonder and closed his eyes to sense the core of the high continent. Was this the feedback that the highest continent gave him? No, this should be just basic feedback. If Zhou Zhou was right, there should be such basic will feedback in the ultimate void battlefield, the eternal continent, and the dust battlefield. He could completely recognize the ultimate void battleground as his master later. This thought appeared in Zhou Zhou's mind. Then, he continued to explore the improvements that the high continent had brought to him. He had discovered the true benefits that the supreme continent had brought to him, the third reserve army of the Supreme Lord in no time. It's actually this. Zhou Zhou opened his eyes, and a glint flashed across them. The true benefit that the high continent brought to him was that it was the source of the birth of the myriad worlds. After him, this Supreme Lord Reserve Army completely acknowledged the high continent as its master. The high continent would officially activate its effect as the origin of the myriad worlds. This effect could be described as end of ascension. The high continent would each open a door of ascension in the myriad worlds of the supreme great cosmos. The geniuses of the various worlds or top-notch experts were all qualified to see this door and were qualified to come to the high continent through this door to enjoy higher-end and richer cultivation resources and enter a higher realm. As for the blazing sun divine kingdom of the common people's regal, as the only sovereign faction in the high continent, it was extremely convenient to recruit these prodigies or experts to join his blazing sun divine kingdom. Zhou Zhou was even more ruthless. He could completely set up a rule on the high continent. All living beings who wanted to officially walk on the high continent needed to join the blazing sun divine kingdom and become subjects of the blazing sun divine kingdom. Otherwise, they would be treated as refugees from another world and would not be able to enjoy the basic benefits of the subjects of the blazing sun divine kingdom on the high continent. They would not even be able to go to some special places. For example, cultivation holy lands like the Blessed Land. This was because it was prepared for the subjects of the blazing sun divine kingdom. If they were not subjects of the blazing sun divine kingdom, they naturally could not use such a place. With such rules, at least 90% of these paragons or experts from the myriad worlds would take the initiative to join the blazing sun divine kingdom and become subjects of the blazing sun divine kingdom. The various benefits of the blazing sun divine kingdom and the uniqueness of the high continent were very difficult for any prodigy or expert to reject after all. From then on, Zhou Zhou could even say that all the prodigies in the myriad worlds were under his control. If this continued, the blazing sun divine kingdom might realize the scene of all subjects being prodigies. After Zhou Zhou completely understood the use of the high continent, he could not help but nod in satisfaction. It turned out that the true use of the high continent was to recruit geniuses and experts from all over the world. Not bad, not bad. He liked it very much. Then, he immediately used the all the land in the world belongs to the king to set this rule for the high continent. After this matter was completed, he flipped his right hand and a red fruit appeared in his hand. It was the divine tree fruit that heaven-punishing God King had just given him. He looked at the divine tree fruit in his hand and checked it with his willpower. After finding no problem, he raised his head and ate it. The mutant fruit melted in his mouth and directly transformed into a vast and pure power of will. This power of will did not enter the stomach of Zhou Zhou's will body. Instead, as if it was attracted by the will origin core, it rushed crazily and turbulently towards the will origin core. Boom, boom, boom. It was like a wave hitting a reef. The power of will released by the mutant fruit kept attacking Zhou Zhou's will origin core. If not for the fact that Zhou Zhou was currently in the augmented state of a king and had the willpower of 165,000 supreme will realm experts augmenting him, the will origin core that he had just condensed would probably crack from this terrifying power of will. Zhou Zhou frowned slightly. He suddenly realized a problem. That was, this mutant fruit did not seem to be prepared for newcomers who had just entered the supreme will realm. Instead, it was prepared for at least a mid-level supreme will realm expert or even a high-level supreme will realm expert. However, he then regained his composure. Fortunately, he was not an ordinary supreme will realm expert. He had a thought. The power of the 165,000 supreme will realm experts augmented on him suddenly began to exert force together. They were like a pair of terrifying hands with infinite strength. In the blink of an eye, they needed the willpower that was like a tsunami into a powerless biscuit. Under the enhancement of this terrifying willpower, the will origin core slowly and steadily absorbed the pure and high-quality willpower from the mutant fruit to strengthen itself. At this moment, Zhou Zhou could clearly feel the quality and total amount of his willpower begin to increase crazily. At the same time, it rapidly approached the mid-level supreme will realm. An unexpected situation happened in no time. He opened his eyes and realized that he had already arrived at an arena. This arena was clean, as if no one had fought here. And opposite a man in a red martial arts suit with the word marital written on his chest was standing opposite him, looking at him with a solemn expression. His forehead was covered in cold sweat, and his muscles were tense, as if he had encountered a terrifying enemy. And from the looks of it, it looked exactly like Zhou Zhou. Before the two of them could react to what had happened, some information appeared in the minds of Zhou Zhou and the man who looked like Zhou Zhou. After sorting out the information that suddenly appeared in his mind, the man opposite him said, "So you're my alternate timeline main body. Since you've already reached a mysterious realm called the Supreme Will Realm, at this realm, you need to kill and fuse with other alternate timeline main bodies to constantly improve yourself. Only then can you advance to a higher realm. And I am your first opponent in the alternate timeline." After saying that, he looked at Zhou Zhou and revealed a bitter smile. "Why am I so unlucky? I've never heard of the Supreme Will Realm, but a star martial venerable like me should not be your match." But his gaze on Zhou Zhou suddenly became firm and passionate. A true martial artist will never admit defeat before the battle begins. "I want to fight you." Zhou Zhou had wanted to tell him about the My Freedom transformation technique at first. The My Freedom transformation technique was a mystic technique that could protect the other party and allow the two to coexist by turning his alternate timeline main body into an alternate timeline clone. However, he was first stunned before he smiled seeing the other party's attitude. "What's your name?" he asked. "Zhou Zhou." Martial Venerable Zhou Zhou asked. "My name is Zhou Zhou too. Do you know that with your strength, I can make you die without a burial place with a thought? You won't even be able to reincarnate." Zhou Zhou looked at him with interest. "Understood." Martial Venerable Zhou Zhou nodded. Then, he placed one hand behind his back and raised the other hand to his chest. His expression was as calm as a lake. He looked like he was ready to fight. "Then what's the point of fighting me like this? Battle is the meaning of a martial artist." Martial Venerable Zhou Zhou said calmly. "Ha ha ha." Zhou Zhou laughed out loud. He looked at Zhou Zhou, his eyes filled with admiration for his alternate timeline. The main body of an otherworldly martial venerable whose strength might not even be at the epic tier dared to send a firm battle request to a Supreme Will Realm expert like him. This was something that many Supreme Will Realm experts could not do. Just based on your current will, you will have the potential of a Supreme Will Realm expert in the future. Zhou Zhou smiled and said, "Then, I agree to your request. Next, I will fight you with my martial arts. I'll let you see the supreme martial path that belongs to the Supreme Will Realm." "Okay, it's a deal." Martial Venerable Zhou Zhou's eyes lit up, and the flames in his eyes that belonged to martial artists burned even hotter. The two of them quickly fought. A moment later, Martial Venerable Zhou Zhou panted heavily and knelt in front of him. Zhou Zhou looked at him with interest. He had fought the other party with the physique of an ordinary person just now, but he still easily defeated the other party with a little supreme realm martial arts technique. This is your supreme martial arts. Even though Martial Venerable Zhou Zhou was in a sorry state, his eyes were terrifyingly bright. Yes, Zhou Zhou smiled and said, "How do you feel? A realm I've never been in. However, I can feel that it seems to be the ultimate of martial arts." Martial Venerable Zhou Zhou asked, "At most, it's top-notch. It's not the ultimate." Zhou Zhou smiled and shook his head. In the ultimate void great cosmos, there were wills that raised their martial arts to the transcendent level. That transcendent martial saint was ranked in the top 10 in the entire ultimate void cosmos. He was only at the supreme will realm now, so it was naturally far from the ultimate martial arts. Zhou Zhou's eyes lit up. The martial arts that he was passionate about indeed had a lot of potential even in the wider world. The path that he loved had unlimited potential. At this moment, he felt extremely carefree. However, after that, his expression dimmed again. "My future is bright, my guess." He was about to be killed by his alternate timeline main body, and his future was still bright. Seeing this, Zhou Zhou stopped teasing him and told him about the My Freedom transformation technique. "As long as you agree to me using the My Freedom transformation technique on you, you can survive and my strength can increase. Either you live, but you become my alternate timeline clone, or you die at my hands. There's no other choice. You should feel it, right?" Zhou Zhou glanced at the arena. This arena is the arena specially built by the will of the great cosmos for a supreme realm existence like me to fight you. Until the winner is decided, neither of us can leave here. I promise you, I'm willing to be your alternate timeline clone. Martial Venerable Zhou Zhou agreed readily. "So fast, aren't you going to consider it?" Zhou Zhou asked with a smile. "What's there to consider? Do I still have room for consideration?" Martial Venerable Zhou Zhou smiled and shook his head. "This is probably the best solution to the current situation." "Blame me?" Zhou Zhou asked. "Resentment, definitely resentment." Martial Venerable Zhou Zhou said frankly, "But you can't be blamed for this. I can't stop you from continuing to improve yourself, right? The fact that you can find the special mystic technique, the My Freedom transformation technique, is enough to prove that you're a kind person. It's better to lose to you and become your avatar than to lose to a despicable self and become a despicable avatar." Kindness. Zhou Zhou smiled. Ever since he rose to prominence, he had killed countless enemies of him. The current him was actually praised for being kind? What a strange experience. If that's the case, then I'll refine you into my alternate timeline clone now. Don't resist. I'll be fine soon. The current him wouldn't be afraid of any enemy. "Sure." Martial Venerable Zhou Zhou asked. Zhou Zhou nodded and was about to activate the power of his will to use the My Freedom transformation technique. "Wait a minute." Martial Venerable Zhou Zhou suddenly raised his hand. "Why?" Zhou Zhou put down his hand and asked with a smile. Martial Venerable Zhou Zhou said with a conflicted expression, "After you refine me into your alternate timeline clone, you won't ask me to do something that goes against my principles, right?" "What are you thinking?" Zhou Zhou asked disdainfully. "With your strength, I can crush you with one finger. What do I need someone with your strength to do? I forgot to tell you that my profession is a lord, and I have countless capable people under me. Even if it's a god spirit, I count them in billions. In terms of doing things, they are countless times better than you. Even though it's a little heartbreaking, it sounds quite reassuring." Martial Venerable Zhou Zhou said awkwardly. He heaved a sigh of relief. It seemed that his main body was indeed quite powerful. He should not have to worry about the other party asking him to do anything outrageous. "Then will I still have a chance to reach the peak after I become your alternate timeline avatar? Do I have a chance to reach the same height as you?" Martial Venerable Zhou Zhou thought of something and asked nervously. "Of course." Zhou Zhou smiled and nodded. "If you really reach the eternal immortal realm in the future, I have to congratulate you and me because you and I have the most trustworthy companion and comrade. I look forward to that day." "Sure." Martial Venerable Zhou Zhou silently remembered the name of the eternal immortal realm and nodded solemnly. "Come, MHM." Zhou Zhou quickly refined Martial Venerable Zhou Zhou into his alternate timeline clone. After the refinement was completed, Zhou Zhou felt a faint connection between him and Martial Venerable Zhou Zhou. Zhou Zhou carefully sensed this connection and realized that not only could he make his alternate timeline clone become his body when he was on the verge of death, but he could also use the connection between the two to let him go to the timeline world where Martial Venerable Zhou Zhou was. Zhou Zhou felt that it was a pity. However, after thinking about it, he gave up. He would go there when he had time in the future. The situation at the Dusk battlefield was very critical. He might have to personally go to the Dusk battlefield to fight for the Supreme Great Cosmos at any time. He really could not leave to go to the alternate timeline to play. Is this the feeling of being refined into your alternate timeline clone? Martial Venerable Zhou Zhou looked at his hands in surprise and felt the surging mental strength in his body. He said in surprise, "How did my mental strength increase to this extent? It actually began to nourish my body, causing my physical strength to increase. At this rate, it won't be long before I reach the Martial Saint realm. That's not mental power. It's some willpower left behind when I refined you into an alternate timeline avatar. Because this willpower is very compatible with you, it did not dissipate. Instead, it fused into your soul, allowing you to have a trace of willpower in the depths of your soul. This willpower will subtly modify your soul. It makes it easier for you to walk the path of will in the future. The current you not only has a very simple comprehension of laws, it's like a university student looking at a primary school student's math questions. Even if you comprehend the power of will, it's very easy for you to enter the Master God tier and Supreme God realms. As for the Supreme Will realm, there's a chance, but it mainly depends on your future efforts. This trace of willpower I left behind can at most open a path to the Supreme Will realm for you. As for how you walk or whether you walk fast, it's up to you." Martial Venerable Zhou Zhou looked surprised. In other words, after becoming your alternate timeline clone, I became a peerless genius. A peerless genius. Zhou Zhou smiled. Have you seen a real peerless genius? I have. No, you haven't. Zhou Zhou shook his head. You've been cultivating martial arts for 12 years, right? You can reach the Martial Venerable realm, epic tier, in 12 years. You can be considered a genius in your world, right? Martial Venerable Zhou Zhou asked. In the martial arts world he was in, he was one of the top 10 martial arts geniuses. In the last continent-wide martial arts conference, he had even broken into the 9th place before he was officially defeated. He was not the youngest among all the participants, but he was still considered the younger generation. To be able to enter the 9th place at such a young age, he was undoubtedly a true genius. Then how big do you think the gap between you and me is? I can't see clearly. Maybe. Martial Venerable Zhou Zhou said honestly. The difference between us is too great. It's so great that I can't see the end. Zhou Zhou nodded and said calmly. The world I'm in is called the Supreme World. There are countless boundless universes, middle worlds, and small worlds in the Supreme World. The life forms contained in them can be described as endless. But even so, I'm currently ranked in the top 10 with the least strength in this great world. And guess how long it took me to cultivate from an ordinary person to this point? I don't know. Martial Venerable Zhou Zhou hesitated for a moment before shaking his head. He looked at Zhou Zhou with envy and shock in his eyes. If it was really as he had said, the other party was a top-notch existence even in many large and small worlds. The other party's strength was unimaginable for Martial Venerable Zhou Zhou, who came from a different world. And then, he, Zhou Zhou, who was at the Supreme Will realm, gave an answer that surprised him even more. Less than a year, Zhou Zhou said calmly. In less than a year, I advanced from an ordinary person to my current realm. Impossible, Martial Venerable Zhou Zhou exclaimed. Impossible. In less than a year, no existence can reach your realm. That's why I'm the strongest genius. No one can compare to me. Zhou Zhou smiled. It was true. It was quite satisfying to have his alternate timeline clone praise him like this. Martial Venerable Zhou Zhou did not finish. He was already completely shocked. With his knowledge, he could not imagine how an ordinary person could advance from an ordinary person to this realm called the Supreme Will realm in less than a year. Did he cheat? Martial Venerable Zhou Zhou also had his own cheat, which was his extremely pure heart of martial arts. With this heart of martial arts, he could cultivate to the Martial Venerable realm in such a short period of time. However, when comparing people, one had to die. When comparing goods, one had to throw them away. Compared to this person's talent, his cheat was simply unsightly. It was no wonder that he could achieve what he had to look up to in less than a year. He did not suspect that Zhou Zhou was lying to him. The two of them already had the connection between their main bodies and avatars after all. Even though he did not know what the other party was thinking, he could still tell from his tone that the other party disdained lying. At this moment, Zhou Zhou spoke again. "You're my clone now. It won't be long before this arena dissipates. You and I will return to our respective worlds. Before I return, I'll give you a gift." With that, Zhou Zhou raised his right hand and pointed his index finger at the other party. A bit of willpower wrapped around an inheritance and flew into the space between Zhou Zhou's eyebrows. Zhou Zhou closed his eyes and accepted the inheritance. A moment later, he opened his eyes. The inheritance of supreme martial arts. As long as I absorb all of this inheritance, I might be able to advance to the supreme realm with my martial arts in the future. I might even have a chance to break through to martial Dao. Zhou Zhou could not help but hold his breath. Even though he had just come into contact with the contents of the martial venerable level inheritance, he might not accept the martial arts inheritance above the martial venerable level because of the huge difference in strength. He could only accept the contents of the corresponding level when his strength reached the standard. Even so, he might also sense the vastness of this inheritance. He had a feeling that a martial venerable who had received this inheritance might definitely defeat hundreds of him. This was not exaggerated at all. If I cultivate the martial venerable level martial arts on it, I'm even confident that I can fight the martial god. Martial venerable Zhou Zhou muttered to himself. Martial god. It was the second major realm after the martial venerable realm and the highest realm he knew. Martial venerable, martial sacred, martial god. Even though there was only a one-word difference between the three major classes, there was a world of difference in terms of strength. Normally speaking, a martial venerable would definitely not be able to challenge a martial sacred. Under normal circumstances, a martial sacred would definitely not be able to challenge a martial god. Of course, some geniuses, such as martial venerable Zhou Zhou, could challenge martial sacreds below the third level of the martial sacred realm with the strength of a martial venerable. Even so, he was also known as a once-in-a-thousand-year martial arts genius in the martial profound continent. And this supreme martial art was only the part before the martial venerable realm, but it could actually allow him to challenge the martial god realm by 2 levels. One could imagine the shock this brought him. Zhou Zhou's shocked expression towards martial venerable Zhou Zhou was very calm. He could tell what the other party was thinking at a glance. He smiled to himself. "You're already so shocked by an epic tier challenging a lesser deity? Back then, I walked the same path as your main body. Many of the battles that he personally took part in had battles that were 2 levels higher. In the recent battle, he had even killed a low-level powerhouse 2 levels above the supreme realm, shocking all the experts in the myriad worlds." Of course, Zhou Zhou naturally wouldn't be stupid enough to show off. There was no need to do so in front of his clone. They might not be able to see each other in the future after all. "This is my gift to you. When you advance to the supreme realm in the future, we still have a chance to meet again," Zhou Zhou said. Only a supreme realm expert would begin to master the matter of transcending the alternate timeline. That was why Zhou Zhou said that there was a possibility of meeting him only at the supreme realm. "I'll do my best." Martial venerable Zhou Zhou said seriously. Zhou Zhou nodded. As soon as he finished speaking, the arena under their feet turned into specks of light and began to dissipate. Behind Zhou Zhou and martial Dao Zhou, their respective worlds appeared. Behind Zhou Zhou was a majestic and vast supreme shrine. Behind the shrine was the vast world of the Divine Kingdom. Above the Divine Kingdom world, one could vaguely see the projections of the Divine Kingdom stars, the great lunar stars, and the sun stars. Behind martial venerable Zhou Zhou was a vast continent. Zhou Zhou looked over and realized that this was a martial arts continent that only had master god-tier god spirits dominating it. There were many secrets on this mainland that involved opportunities at the god spirit level and even the inheritance of a supreme god. However, such an inheritance naturally did not attract Zhou Zhou at all. He was not even interested in taking a look. Zhou Zhou turned around and left, disappearing. As for martial venerable Zhou Zhou, he looked at Zhou Zhou's divine kingdom world with an infatuated gaze. In the end, it turned into a determined expression. "I'll create the same scenery," he muttered to himself. Then, he turned around and disappeared. In the reincarnation sacred palace, Zhou Zhou sat on the Tao comprehension futon again and continued to absorb the willpower in the mutant fruit to increase his willpower realm. At the same time, he circulated the origin of the heart to accelerate the refinement of the willpower of the mutant fruit. The origin of the heart was indeed worthy of being a top-notch inheritance in the heart great cosmos. After circulating the origin of the heart, Zhou Zhou felt that the speed at which he refined the willpower in the mutant fruit had increased by at least 4 to 5 times. As the power of his will gradually increased, Zhou Zhou could clearly sense that his next alternate timeline would attack him soon. And how long did this mean? Zhou Zhou vaguely knew the exact time. 10 years. Zhou Zhou was slightly surprised. 10 years. This time was naturally a blink of an eye for other Supreme Will Realm experts. However, to Zhou Zhou, who had cultivated for less than a year in reality, this was a completely unacceptable number. He didn't have that much time to spend on such matters. Fortunately, I have the all-origin as one that Big Brother gave me. It can accelerate the descent of the other alternate timeline main bodies in advance. With a thought, the seal in his hand quietly changed, and he activated the all-origin as one. The moment it was activated, Zhou Zhou seemed to see himself in countless timelines. Some of them were doctors, some were salesmen, some were mutants, some were aliens, some were god spirits, some were demons, devils, creators. There were all kinds of timelines, and each timeline had a different scenery and self in the scenery. At this moment, one of the men looked up at Zhou Zhou. Zhou Zhou looked at the other parties. Swoosh. The two of them arrived at a battlefield again. Everywhere she looked, there were ruins and corpses everywhere. The air was filled with the smell of blood and corpses. At this moment, the two of them had already accepted the information given to them by the will of the ultimate void great cosmos. The man who looked extremely similar to Zhou Zhou, but looked extremely down and out looked up at the surrounding scene curiously before looking at Zhou Zhou curiously. You look a lot better than me. If you want to take my life, I'm afraid it's very simple. Just a thought away. Zhou Zhou nodded. As expected, the downtrodden man took out a pack of cigarettes from his right pocket, took one out, lit it up with a lighter, and blew out a smoke ring. He smiled and said, "Can you let me smoke before I die? Life isn't going well." Zhou Zhou asked with a smile. "It's easy to tell." The downtrodden man smiled and said, "She's a little unluckier than many people, but she's also a little luckier than those who were born unlucky. But meeting you seems to be the end of what little luck I have. Just as well." The impoverished man took a deep puff of his cigarette and casually threw it on the ground. He stepped on it hard and shouted at the sky, "Fuck life. I'm going to live my entire life in another life. F***CK. Meeting me might not be unlucky." Zhou Zhou smiled and said something that shocked the down-and-out man. "Besides, who said I wanted your life?" "What do you mean?" The downtrodden man frowned slightly. Zhou Zhou looked at him and clicked his tongue. Then, he repeated what he had said to Marshal Venerable Zhou Zhou. "I agree." After the down-and-out man heard this, he agreed without hesitation. He sneered and said, "As long as what you say is true, those who don't agree with you are idiots." "A wise choice." Zhou Zhou smiled. Then, he spent a very short period of time refining the other party into his alternate timeline avatar. "What kind of gift do you want? I treat everyone equally." Zhou Zhou smiled. The downtrodden man pondered for a while before his eyes lit up. "Are you really omnipotent?" "You could say that." "Then I want a system." The down-and-out man swung his right arm hard. "I want to live the life of a F***king male lead." "Are you sure?" "I, Zhou Zhou, am 100,000% sure." "Then, as you wish." After Zhou Zhou refined this down-and-out Zhou Zhou, he could clearly feel that his willpower had increased a little. Even though it did not improve much, Zhou Zhou found it unbelievable when he thought about how the other party was just an ordinary person. The increase in willpower from refining the alternate timeline's main body is related to the other party's strength, but it's not completely related. There are also other factors affecting it, Zhou Zhou thought to himself. Then, he bade farewell to the delighted and downtrodden Zhou Zhou and returned to the reincarnation sacred palace. As for the system that this down-and-out Zhou Zhou had obtained, Zhou Zhou named it the Blazing Sun System. He had only used nomological methods to create a supreme, god-level intelligent life form and stuffed it with a series of resources to cultivate from an ordinary person to a supreme god. He had built this system simply. To Zhou Zhou, building this system could be done with a thought, and the resources spent were not worth mentioning. Therefore, he did not care at all and continued cultivating the origin of the heart. while Zhou Zhou's main body was constantly improving his willpower on the other side. At the Chaos Sea, Zhou Marshal had already brought Thanatos, Nazario, and 10,000 Master God-tier advanced grade God spirits to the Chaos Sea. Then, they realized that not only were there space-time chaotic divine demons in the Chaos Sea, there was also a figure they had never seen before. It was in existence wearing a chaotic emperor's robe and a chaotic crown on its head. Its body was surrounded by countless chaotic airflows that were like swimming dragons. Thousands of nomological halos surrounded the other party, looking like chaos demon gods were alive. And when the other party saw Zhou Marshal and sensed his bloodline aura that came from the same origin as he, but was of a higher level than he knelt down to Zhou Marshal without hesitation. Chaotic divine demon Di Huang. Realm essence greets the great common people's regal. You are. However, in the face of Zhou Zhou's question, the chaotic light spot did not move at all, as if it was just an ordinary chaotic light spot. I'm ashamed. The chaotic divine demon Di Huang lowered his head and said, "Protecting the chaotic divine demon race is the will of the heavens that has existed in my body since I was born. I don't have any special thoughts. I just know I have to do this." Zhou Marshal looked at the chaotic divine demon Di Huang and suddenly said, "Don't move." The chaotic divine demon Di Huang was stunned, but it still obediently knelt on the ground and did not move. Zhou Marshal looked at chaotic divine demon Di Huang and suddenly raised his hand to point at him. A great will pressure suddenly descended. When the chaotic divine demon Di Huang sensed this will, he was instantly shocked. As a supreme will realm expert, he could naturally sense the horror of this will pressure. However, hadn't this common people's regal just advanced to the supreme will realm today? Why did it seem that even if the other party did not use that magical willpower secret technique to increase his strength, the power of his willpower was extremely deep, as if he was a supreme willpower realm expert who had cultivated for countless years? He naturally did not know that Zhou Zhou's willpower cultivation was synchronized with every of his clones in real time. That mutant fruit could directly raise a genius like God King Heaven Punishment from the middle stage Supreme Will Realm to the high-level Supreme Will Realm. The power of will contained in it was naturally extremely terrifying. Even though Zhou Zhou had only used a very short period of time to use the origin of the heart to absorb a portion of the willpower, even this portion of the willpower was equivalent to nearly 100,000 years of bitter cultivation by ordinary newly advanced Supreme Will Realm experts. It was precisely because of this that he felt that Zhou Marshal did not seem to have just advanced. Instead, he looked like a Supreme Will Realm expert who had cultivated for a long time. Furthermore, why did this common people's regal release such terrifying pressure on me the moment he saw me? What was he doing? The chaotic divine demon Di Huang was terrified. At this moment, Zhou Marshal curled his right hand gently, and a chaotic light spot flew out of the chaotic divine demon Di Huang's body and slowly landed in Zhou Zhou's hand. The chaotic divine demon Di Huang suddenly felt much more relaxed after this chaotic light spot flew out. It was as if the burden that had been suppressed in his heart for many years had instantly disappeared. The chaotic divine demon Di Huang was surprised. He had no idea what had happened to him. Why was it that with a hook of his highness finger and his body was so relaxed? What was that chaotic light spot? He stared at the point of light of the chaos beast floating in Zhou Zhou's hand. His eyes were filled with curiosity, but at the same time, there was vigilance and disbelief. Why didn't he know that there was such a thing in his body? If it wasn't for the common people's regal's help today, wouldn't he have to wear this thing for the rest of his life without knowing? Just the thought of it was terrifying. At this moment, Zhou Marshal was also looking at the chaotic light spot in his hand. He stroked his chin and looked at him, suddenly smiled and said, "Should I call you the remnant will of the chaos will? Or should I call you this divine being of the chaos will?" The surrounding god spirits and supreme will realm experts were immediately shocked. This light spot was actually related to the legendary chaos will. That was the supreme will and the crimson overlord's father. At its peak, even the supreme will and the crimson overlord could not defeat that existence. He had actually become this chaotic light spot. However, in the face of Zhou Zhou's question, the chaotic light spot did not move at all, as if it was just an ordinary chaotic light spot.